All right, everyone, welcome to, I believe this is the sixth edition of the Future of the Cosmos Hub Call. Today, here with Zaki and Tariq, we're going to be talking about Atom 2021, um, kind of what their idea is on what the hub should evolve to, and also on Unified DAO, some of the proposals that went on there, what's coming, what's been happening, and yeah, some progress updates and on that front as well. So, welcome.
Hey,
Um,
Greetings. All right.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, where should we start? Should we kind of start off with how this came to be? I guess I think that would be a
I,
good
I
place to
guess
start.
I think there's a general question. I think a little bit of um, what are the problems that we're trying to solve?
Mhm.
Is I think a little bit of probably the way I would phrase it, because Atom 2021, Unified DAO, all of these different activities are reflections of like our attempts to solve a set of problems for the future of the cosmos. And I think it's probably the best way to frame how I see those problems emerging and evolving over time, or like what is the problem that we're trying to solve? And I guess the core problem that we're trying to solve is that now that we can sort of, now that Stargate is sort of, we're at the doorstep, and we're sort of about to go through the Stargate. IBC is about to be a real thing. We and the cryptocurrency market has evolved quite a bit from where we were um, in 2017 or 2016, when sort of the Cosmos Hub and the Atom was conceived as a token and as a product. We are, we can sort of start, we can see this market that Stargate is about to be launched into. That the DeFi sector has kind of started to explode and become a real center of innovation. And what I see as the problem is that there are a series of there are tokenomics and sort of economic design issues around the Atom token. There are funding and capital allocation challenges for bringing DeFi to the Cosmos. And there are just sort of general community coordination and structural challenges around evolving of sort of exploring this DeFi space with the Cosmos. And so we have a lot of things that are sort of that we've been working on for quite a bit of time that are sort of on the verge of coming to fruition. But we need to figure out how we have to solve the problem of sort of bringing this all to market sort of coherently and successfully in order for the Cosmos to continue to evolve after Stargate. And so that was the vision was really about, kind of taking a bunch of ideas, winnowing down those ideas, clearly explaining those ideas, and defining Atom 2021 as a sort of place to start.
Tariq, do you have anything to add to that?
I think I am frustrated, like most Atom holders, that Cosmos has a lot of amazing technology and some of the brightest engineers I've seen in crypto who have made software freely available, and that I'm seeing the software used on a lot of different chains, and I'm seeing the software used elsewhere. and really inspired by what the Tendermint and the SDK teams have done to bring us forth with Stargate. And I think Stargate is a reset. If you are an Atom holder, you should see Cosmos Stargate as a reset in the opportunity to build a massive universe of interoperative chains and assets. And I think that atoms are massively undervalued, and that the opportunity to capture more value with Stargate, and particularly with some of the ideas that have been floated in Atom 2021, is something that every Atom holder should be like aping into. They should just be super agitated and frustrated and wanting to see it deployed as quickly as possible. And I think that's happening. And I think what's really going to happen as we get Stargate, Stargate RC1 has come up. I think the question now is, are we thinking next of what can be done when we have multiple chains running Cosmos Stargate candidate, and then we have our, this Stargate on the hub? Then the question becomes, what can we not do? Are we thinking big enough? And I think this reset allows us to really, really think big beyond just assets, but now interchain assets, interoperability of chains. I think I don't see any. I like to tell people, if you're going to compare, if you're going to chase the speeds and feeds narrative, then there are other places to do that. But if you want to chase a narrative that says, let us, reinvent and really conquer new greenfields in crypto technology and crypto features, I think Stargate is doing that. And I think that's what we're trying to do also with, we talk about DeFi on the hub. We're trying to say, now that we have this new interoperability, what can we not do? What is possible? And I'm really amazed at what people are talking about, everything from staking derivatives, down to IBC. It is just amazing. So I am hungry, and I want to encourage every Atom holder to be like, bring it on, let's go, let's launch this stuff. It's time for the reset.
Yeah. And I would say that, the IBC technology is has so much potential for value creation. And what Atom holders should be hungry for is a clear direction for how that value creation is going to accrue to Atom holders. And that narrative isn't there. And Atom 2021, I don't think is really the is an entire story there, but it is the first steps. And it is a if the Cosmos Hub can come together and agree that this is the direction forward, it's a demonstration that Atoms can be relatively nimble in pursuing market opportunities, and that they don't run the risk of sort of all of the competing all of the competing chains in the Cosmos being the places which sort of figures out product market fit for their staking token first.
Yeah, I guess that's a kind of a good segue then into why Atom 2021. Let's kind of get into more concretely, like, what is Atom 2021? Obviously, I think, the first thing that we've seen out of that has been Peggy and accelerating the development of it, and then trying to get it basically deployed onto the hub. Beyond that, what else kind of do you guys have in mind of?
Okay, so let's talk about. I kind of want to start with let's talk about what properties does the Atom have today, and then kind of segue from there to what are the properties that Atom 2021 adds to the Atom.
Sure.
So the Atom is a very widely adopted asset. A lot of centralized exchanges, a lot of people hold Atoms. That's a property of Atoms. atoms are a relatively liquid asset. There are tens of millions of dollars in atoms that are traded every day. There's you can move millions of dollars of atoms with relatively without substantially changing the price. Atoms have a relatively robust regulatory position. They're widely considered to be a sort of like in the clear from a regulatory point of view asset across a wide variety of the ecosystem. So I think these are the good properties that atoms have. Atoms, there's a lot of support for the staking functionality of atoms across wallets, across exchanges, etc. So these are the properties that atoms have right now, and that's good. I don't think that any of these properties really represent a sustainable moat in the ecosystem. The environment that we're in is such that in general, new staking tokens launching and getting listed is generating liquidity around them is happening on a fairly routine basis. A lot of the proof of stake blockchains that were sort of modeled on a lot of the work that we did in 2018 are launching now, and so just like the spectrum of very similar assets is exploding rapidly. The regulatory constraints on those assets are probably less than what we had anticipated when we sort of designed and launched and built this process for launching atoms, and so that reduces the sort of moat around atoms, and so Atom 2021 is about adding new functionality to atoms and making atoms responsible for more than just the security or like coordinating and incentivizing people for the safety and liveness of the Cosmos Hub. And so it's really about adding three pieces of functionality to what the atom does. So one of them is Peggy, which is the atom holders running an instance of the Peggy software, and atoms underwriting that bridge in some fashion, and adding new economics around that in terms of fees, integrations, operations, and as we are seeing, these like Peggy style bridges are cropping up everywhere, and so just having a Peggy is not in itself even enough. Atom 2021 lays out this vision of trying to generate fees with the assets under management from Peggy and really starting to like leverage governance to sort of make economic decisions and collectively choose to allocate assets. So that's sort of the Peggy piece of Atom 2021. And I think that sets an important precedent for the functionality of the Cosmos Hub. You want to talk about that, or do you want to kind of go through the others?
Well, let's jump on that for a bit. I wanted to add to that on Peggy. One thing I learned, with Peggy is that, many chains can deploy, or implement Peggy. It's going to be open source. The question is, how secure, right, is your bridge? And if, the total market cap of your, chain is less than the value of your bridge, you have a lot of security risk. And so I really was excited to hear that Peggy on the Cosmos Hub, because it is, the most secure Cosmos chain, public Cosmos chain, that would be an opportunity for folks, in the Cosmos ecosystem looking to bridge to other chains, a way to, get secure bridges that most likely will not be at risk. And I think that to me was something that appealed really, because it said, hey, the natural, success of the Cosmos Hub attached to a PEGI bridge would make it, one of the possibly most secure bridges that you would be able to enjoy in the Cosmos ecosystem. And I think that is one sort of like easy gimme and a win for PEGI in making Atoms valuable, or as Zaki would say, adding features to Atoms that suddenly make it valuable. And Zaki, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that my, am I sort of nuancing it properly, or did I just run off the rails there? All right. So I think, for me, it's like, again, if I'm an Atom holder, I'm like, get PEGI on my hub now, please. Because, here we can now use the, the market cap of, Cosmos to like start building more bridges. I'm already aware that there's lots of interest in using the Cosmos Hub to bridge to other chains, and folks are just waiting for the feature that allowed them to do that. So it's an easy win. It's a slam dunk gimme. And again, another reason why Atom holders should say, listen, get this moving quickly. We're making Atoms valuable and leveraging its value to connect to bridges and get those bridges off the ground.
Yeah, and I think I've actually felt this a lot too, where we're seeing a lot of other chains like Solana and Near launching bridges. But to be honest, obviously, even though I don't have a very deep technical background, it's fairly obvious that it's a lot more of a simpler bridging mechanism with less economic, fault tolerance and things like that. But surprisingly, it seems like users are okay with the trade-offs if that means they get that utility in a faster time period. And it seems like the roadmap is, iterating more towards that. So yeah, I definitely see the relevance of that. And Zaki, do you want to kind of go into the context of kind of like the competition? Because I think we've seen a lot more ETH bridging come out in the past month or two than in the last year.
Yeah. I mean, what I think is, so as Ethereum has turned into an economy, the value proposition of ETH bridging has like, or more projects are experimenting with ETH bridging, and ETH bridges are so, and there's a lot of but the way I think of an ETH bridge is a service, and it's a service that meets the need of some user. And so it might be, whether that user is, Atoms on Uniswap, or that user is initial liquidity on a new Zone token that's launching over IBC. The question really with the Cosmos Hub and what we're trying to do with the PEGI bridge is not just simply, okay, like we have ticked we have a bridge to Ethereum box. That's not really a very exciting or compelling thing. It is, the Cosmos Hub is now able to provide a service, secure that service, underwrite that service, provide some both assurance of the competence and security of the operators of that service, so that a new zone that wants to take advantage of the services that exist on Ethereum, and a new zone that wants to take advantage of assets that are being issued from those services and build a larger economy, doesn't have to bootstrap their own operator set, doesn't have to, and like this is the role of the Cosmos Hub as a decentralized service provider for the IBC ecosystem. And clearly the interface point between the IBC ecosystem and the Ethereum ecosystem is a place where there's an opportunity to create and capture value. And so for the Cosmos Hub to fail to take advantage of this just leaves an opportunity for someone, for another zone to kind of insert itself into that ecosystem.
Let me try to think on this. Yeah, and I mean, it seems pretty obvious that, like, I don't think the value of Cosmos, like, it builds on the years of work that came even before mainnet. So, you know, even if someone else wanted to take that role, I feel like that would take quite some time to kind of get there.
No, I don't think that's true at all. I think we have
Really?
a tiny window of opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. It's not going to take a lot of time. It just takes somebody with a big enough mouth, maybe bigger than mine, to say that, you know, we're going to do this. And I think, again, that's, you know, it comes back to Atom holders. You know, the question I ask for Atom holders is, are you happy? Are you satisfied with the price of Atom? Do you go to bed at night thinking or telling your significant other, yes, we did good today. Some other person or some other chain essentially used our software and launched and said we could do a better job. If the answer is no, then we should take the position, assume that it is not hard for our value to continue to be whittled away and competed against by very determined and committed and passionate competitors who want to say, listen, you know, our chain's alive for 6 months and we have an ETH bridge. Come on down. You know, get started in building. You know, that rustles my jimmies, man. And so, you know, I think, you know, if our desire is to say, listen, we will not let the value pass us by, then we should assume that we do not have time. And we must assume that, we should assume that as soon as Cosmos Stargate RC1 is out and a demo of our upgrade to the hub is available and proven, others will say, yes, we can do the same. As soon as Peggy is live, others will say, yes, we can do the same. And I think Atom holders deserve to say, this is our legacy. You know, we're not going to let it go. We're going to fight for it. And you know what? Bring it to the hub.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense. Cool. Do you want to talk a little bit on that Peggy JV stuff, or would you kind of rather talk about more on the other parts of Atom 2021 project?
So okay, so why don't we come back a little bit about what we're doing with Peggy JV and sort of the overall go-to-market plan for Peggy, because the point of Atom 21 was to focus on was no one thing is enough. You cannot simply just be like, okay, our next thing is we must build an ETH bridge and that will be enough to get us to the next place, because it ignores all the other problems. You know, the second thing that like that was like a focus of Atom 2021 was really saying that a constant function market maker needs to exist on the hub. And this was kind of, you know, Atom 2021 was put together in sort of July, before Uniswap really blew up. And the core component, and you know, the reason why you know, putting a constant function market maker on the hub became so obviously important to me is that in order for the hub to have utility for the ecosystem, there has to be price discovery on the hub. There has to be price discovery on the hub. If we yield the price discovery function to, let's say, Ethereum or Uniswap, if we yield the price discovery function to Binance, that will probably be the place where people want to settle. That's probably the place people will want to route their IBC packets through. The price discovery function is incredibly important. And I think we've seen so much utility for constant function market makers in fulfilling this price discovery function. And, you know, this now gives Atom holders another service that they're performing in the ecosystem. That once you capture some threshold amount of liquidity on that constant function market maker, the IBC ecosystem should be happy to rely on that constant function market maker as a way of bootstrapping or of doing price discovery of any new asset that emerges in the Cosmos. And that gives a very strong reason for anyone who is building a new zone to connect to the hub. And so, we put the constant function market maker as sort of a core goal of Atom 2021. BHarvest, sort of ran ahead with a proposal and a design, and what eventually turned into an implementation plan. And Atom 2021 has embraced this, and I think that's a perfect example of how Atom 2021 is not the Zucky takes over the Cosmos Hub initiative. It is the initiative. Was about defining a set of priorities and clear goals, and those goals being able to be accomplished in a timely manner, and really working with and embracing anyone in the community who kind of both in the composition of what those goals are and then how we accomplish them. And that's very much the spirit in which Atom 2021 is being executed.
Yeah, but and if I could add to that, I mean, Zucky, take some credit, man, just a little bit, not too much now. Take a little bit of credit, because Unified DAO really was a way to give Atom 2021 voice, right? We needed a place to be able to talk about this concept, and James and the secret team partnered with us together to launch this Unified DAO to talk about these issues. So we needed a place to talk about them. We didn't do it on the forums because the forum's really serious. We needed a place where it was easy for folks to jump into, have discussions. And once Peggy was able to raise funding on Unified DAO, and BHarvest saw the conversation speeding up, I think Atom 21 Unified DAO acted, and the Telegram channel acted as a forcing function to even get BHarvest to be like, listen, get this thing going. And it is awesome. I mean, when he announced that, he already had an implementation plan and funding, from AIB for Cosmos Hub AMM, again, every Atom holder should have been like, yeah, hey, right? Like the agitation for action and the dissatisfaction with status quo that led to Atom 2021 forcing discussion in Unified DAO, which led to Peggy getting funded, which then led to the AMM, is a trail of activities that I think, I got to say, yes, Zucky, take some credit, right? Like, you said, hey, Tarek, this thing needs to get done. And I think we're now seeing these things come alive, but it is benefiting the entire ecosystem, right? The AMM implementation is going to be open source. The hub will be able to take advantage of it, so will other zones. I think this is what we want to see more of, and we want to see it speed up. And I think as we see some of these software begin to launch and more things, more requirements come to what we want to unleash the power of the Atom, or as we say, add more features to the Atom, I think we're going to see these things come up. So I know we started off talking about the AMM, but just the sequence of events that led to this meant that Atom 2021 had to force a discussion somewhere. And that discussion place, Unified DAO, is essentially the birthplace for these two big projects that are going to change the face of the hub. And that again excites me. And again, I think it's testament also to the community of Atom holders and Cosmos members being like, yeah, we want to leverage the Cosmos Hub to empower the rest of the chains. And don't get me started about IBC. Like again, Peggy plus IBC. When I say reset, I keep telling people, don't think about Peggy and a bridge, and don't think about IBC and cross-chain. Think about what are the sequence of events that now that you have Peggy and IBC that you can do that you cannot do on Ethereum. You can't do it in Bitcoin. You're not going to do it in Solana, and you're going to wait a few years to do it in Polkadot, or maybe wait a few years for ETH2. But you can do it today. If you have these, if you have these superpowers, like what can you do? And when you start and when you start seeing it as a bunch of tools that can make up a process, and you see now that AMMs could, both be on the hub and be, in a zone, I get excited. I think this is, again, a reset and a way people say, "Whoa, we never thought we could do things here in these zones that now we can do." And I mean, again, I even point to the Secret folks as well. They're in the Unified DAO. I think they just launched a bridge. I'm excited to see their bridge work on the Cosmos Hub. Connect to the Cosmos Hub and then work with an AMM. I mean, there's just so many ways you can mix and match it that I think is definitely different from anything else you can get in crypto today. So credit to Zaki for saying, hey, let's start this conversation, and then the forcing functions taking over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. And so let's talk, so right now, the Peggy Peggy work and the constant function market maker sort of vision out of Atom 2021 have tangible progress associated with it. We have Peggy is like Broken Net launching this weekend. We have there is a GitHub repo where the team is working on the liquidity module for the Cosmos SDK, and so there's a bunch of progress in that world. Probably, I feel like the piece that probably is sort of like the next piece to sort of start making progress on is the staking derivatives piece, which there has been progress. There's been like a fairly extensive discussion, and I think there was a previous episode of the future of the Cosmos Hub about the importance of staking derivatives, and Beeb Harvest has written quite a bit about it. He and I have been converging in a design discussion. There's a lot of other sort of side conversations around this. And really, most projects so far have been sort of aping the go-to-market of the staking token that Cosmos did. You bond your staking token, you get inflationary rewards. Those inflationary rewards are distributed to the stakers. The Cosmos sort of proof of stake model has become fairly dominant in the ecosystem, but and it was always kind of an obvious threat to that model that exchange staking would become a big component of it. And staking derivatives are really about sort of iterating and realizing that if the capital that is locked up in atoms cannot be put to useful work, all proof of stake blockchain where it can be and where the go-to-market on those derivative assets is done correctly, and you find product market fit on those derivative assets, that will be where staking dominates. And so for our point of view, so that's why staking derivatives are just as much of a priority. Because if you don't have a working capital asset that can be moved across IBC, it's a large opportunity, and there's a huge risk of that opportunity being lost. And again, the hub not being displaced and atoms being displaced. And really, because of the existing properties of atoms, because of their liquidity, et cetera, there is this big opportunity to make them the working to make staked atoms the working capital asset of DeFi in the IBC ecosystem. It's really uniquely suited for that position, but we have to build in the ability to take your staked atoms and turn them into working capital.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a pretty interesting point because, like you mentioned earlier about constant function market makers and the conjunction of staking derivatives, because assuming atoms as a staking token is like a virtual ASIC, the the only people who are able to price this effectively has been centralized exchanges. And for like, to be honest, we're not 100% sure that they have that actual amount in their reserves. And it's hard to verify, because none of these exchanges will be using or have been using like proof of reserves and things like that. And then we're going a step further where these exchanges are offering essentially a form of liquid staking where you can trade and earn interest, right? So I could see how some of these CFMM part and staking derivatives is kind of a balancing force where a lot of these price discovery of atoms happen more transparently on chain, and then also reduces, well, I wouldn't say reduces, but more competes with the utility that only centralized exchanges who have custody of the funds would be able to kind of provide and bring that service on chain. So yeah, I think that's a pretty interesting correlation of the CFM and the staking derivatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say that it's funny again. I come from the proof of work world where again, like you said, Josh, you had miners and you had centralized exchange. So now we have validators and we have the constant function market maker, and we put them all on chain. What can we do? What have we not thought of that we can do? And again, I think it is definitive, it is unique, and it is an opportunity. And I again, I'm looking around, being like, all right, who has a protocol based, CFFM or AMM plus their staking tokens, as derivative tokens? Like, who is doing this? Well, it's going to be done. As we continue to see more proof of stake system, it's going to be done. But who was here first? Who has the opportunity again to take ownership of this legacy? So I'll continue to beat the drum. I think this is for the hub, and I think the hub is in a unique position to be like, hey, not only do we do this well, but the value of Atom should be reflective of that execution. And it's funny, like I see some of the discussions going on, with B Harvest in the Unified DAO Telegram group and his post on the forums, and even, some of the questions between Sunny and Sam about how to design staking, and even yourself, Josh, I know you've weighed in on how to design this. And I'm like, this discussion is so powerful because it impacts everybody else who's, going to be essentially running a staking, a proof of stake chain, that I'm excited to see how it flushes out and what we decide as maybe the first approach to do this. And so, and then of course, with an AMM on top. So I'm like, yeah, let's do this. This is super exciting. And let's make it easy for people who are slow like me to understand, because some of this stuff, it's like, it can get really, really complex. How these features work, and essentially what is the product that people are eventually buying? Is it you're buying the risk or you're buying the cash flow, and how they should see that. So really, really interesting to see that progress come up. But yeah, let's put it on the hub. I mean, I think that's where it should be.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest, I'd say the biggest debate point on staking derivatives from my point of view is whether or not we should, like, what the primitive should be, and what is that the relationship between that primitive and IBC, and whether or not so should we build a thing that is easy for zones to construct, that we could build a thing that we think is unlikely to have product market fit, but is a good primitive for zones to construct things that have a better product market fit than that. We could build a thing that has a poor product market fit, and we can have something like CosmWasm as a platform for building something that has better product market fit. We could incorporate CosmWasm closely into the staking system so that there can be a variety of different staking primitives, and one of them gets product market fit, and that's where all the liquidity goes. And I think this is like one of the more nuanced trade-offs I think everything in Atom 2021 does have a degree of nuance, does have a degree of complexity. And that's not something we've seen blockchain projects do a good job of in a decentralized ecosystem, navigating nuance and complexity. Most blockchain projects, you have the complexity of the existing Schelling point. It's not as if IBC or proof of stake or Tendermint or anything is simple. But because of the Schelling point that has been built up over 4 years around it, everyone is bought into the fact that we are going to do these complicated things. A big part of the test of Atom 2021 is whether or not Atom holders can actually make choices and choose among complicated options now. Without that, and the reality is that they don't have the other component of this that's interesting is I think Tarek really want to convey a sense of urgency. These decisions have to be made quickly and now, because there are numerous other protocols that are Cosmos-like. Most of them are much more centralized than Cosmos. But really what Cosmos has to demonstrate is a degree of flexibility and being nimble and ability to navigate making complex choices using the tools of decentralized governments that we have in order to continue to maintain and find a unique and valuable niche for Cosmos to operate in a world where there are inevitably going to be large numbers of different layer ones.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of want to bring this point up too, because you mentioned that there's these a lot more centralized projects start moving a lot faster because I don't think they have these decentralized mechanism and checks and balances in place, whereas I think Cosmos Hub does. And I think one thing that we might have to consider is when we're adding a lot of features, there may be risks involved, and how do we kind of account for the potential risks of failure that could happen, or some type of economic risk that should be mitigated or should be considered as we're adding more features to the hub.
I think one of the biggest lessons right now is that the biggest risk to the hub is being obsolete, is to have its existing moat shrink so rapidly over time that the hub is in a state where it is sort of a generic instance of a Tendermint Cosmos blockchain that has no unique characteristics and doesn't do anything special. I think that is by far the biggest risk, rather than the risk of a system that we deploy failing. The market has been extremely tolerant towards failures of all kinds. What the market doesn't tolerate is sort of there's only one coin that really gets away with being static, and that's Bitcoin. And
hey,
that
is coming,
that is
dude.
a place in the market that Bitcoin has chosen to operate in. And I don't think that there's a huge opportunity for Atoms to just be the static, stable, nothing changes proof of stake coin. I think that the reality of the market is that there will be a dynamic, aggressive system built on Cosmos technologies using IBC that will build a robust economic ecosystem around it. And Atoms either have to take their rightful place in that ecosystem or be outcompeted.
And I think we're going to find out. I think, we have the Cosmos Hub proposal for Stargate coming up. We're going to find out if Atom holders want the IBC features functionality of asset creation. Peggy is going to be proposed. We're going to find out if Atom holders want to, if again, the opportunity for upside is greater than the fear of possible downside. And, I like to tell Atom holders, listen, Solana is an example chain that didn't exist. You could say your going mainnet is nearly now $100 million in value, and every day they're constantly taking risks that we might say, well, that's crazy, but we will watch them continue to accrue value, and then one day we'll say, wow, they're 500 million. Well, we're still at 500 million. Well, why are we being left behind? And I hate being left behind, and I hate people beating me at my own game. I think the legacy and the expertise lies within the Cosmos Hub, and the Tendermint and the ICF and all the players, and we have it. We have the resources, we have the tools, and we have the community. This is ours to take, and I think we should take it. And if folks are wavering in permission, I will say I give you full permission to be a $12-20 billion chain. Let's do it.
Yeah,
makes sense. I guess where does the other zones kind of come into play in terms of Atom 2021, and how does this play with kind of the IBC and potentially having conflicting? Not saying that's a bad thing, I guess, but
yeah, I was going to ask if we could talk about IBC, and I think IBC might be a way to segue into that, but I'll let Zach take a stab on it.
Let me take a stab at how I see the relationship between Atom 2021 and the zones. No, I do not want to. Atom 2021 is not a rejection of the Cosmos architecture of putting innovation, of taking innovation and risk and pushing them to the edge. It is. I still think that there is a lot of need for innovation, risk taking, architectural change in zones. For instance, I don't think that trying to turn the Cosmos Hub into an Ethereum that runs on Tendermint, or a smart contract environment that runs on Tendermint, where people upload their various DeFi primitives written in EVM or WebAssembly or whatever, is going to likely be successful. I think zones are mostly about finding new communities and building new communities, or taking subsets of the Atom community and specializing them to go after different market niches. I think zones can afford to take a lot more risk. I'm not proposing a CDP mechanism for the hub as part of Atom 2021. I don't think that would make any sense. For the Agoric chain or for the Kava chain, those are appropriate roles. But what Atoms have to do is they have to be an incredibly useful building block for anyone who's building a zone in the ecosystem, in the same way that ETH is an incredibly useful building block for anyone building in the Ethereum ecosystem. And if Atoms, and that's what Atom 2021 is collectively about. It's about making Atoms into be sort of the best building block for zone builders. So zone builders have a reason to make Atoms part of their vision.
Gotcha. And in the context of that, I think I do want to kind of get into more the I think we're focusing on the future of the Cosmos Hub, so I do want to kind of mention the why IBC is groundbreaking. I think why it's a new step in Cosmos, because for me, I think it's the composability that this allows within the Cosmos ecosystem, and obviously that means having some of these key components out there, which it seems like it may be served better on the hub. So, how do you see this evolving in terms of IBC being introduced? I think we'll have token transfers, interchain token transfers first. And how do you kind of see that the features of IBC evolving in the context of this?
So, I mean, I I think this is the question. I think IBC is very very powerful. You're going to see new coins appear, new assets now appear on the Cosmos Hub. People being able to trade with those assets. The world of IBC application protocols will hopefully grow rapidly, with people now doing more things in the surrounding IBC ecosystem. It would be great, the utility of atoms as a sort of IBC ecosystem native medium of exchange, the unbonded atoms, should become immediately apparent. And there should be I think there's going to be a robust competition among different stable coins for a similar role. We will see IBC native stable coins like eMoney, etc., start to emerge very quickly. And it's a huge opportunity to build like a DeFi ecosystem that I think will inevitably emerge in the IBC ecosystem. As I'm saying, Atom 2021 is really a recognition that now that IBC is alive, atoms have to do more than just secure the Cosmos Hub.
And I think we're about 7 minutes into the end of the call. I guess what should people be hyped about today for Atom 2021?
What should people be hyped about for Atom 2021?
Yeah.
Well, so I think that Atom 2021 people should be hyped about a couple of things. One is they should be hyped about the ongoing progress on the liquidity module, and paying attention to that GitHub and paying attention to its eventual launch. I think I'm very excited about that, and really excited to get that over the finish line. I think the next thing that people should be really hyped about is BrokenNet, and then helping our plans to come up with a governance proposal to put Peggy on the hub. That's another sort of big direction for Atom 2021. And it is very much in the weeds, but paying attention to all of the forum threads about staking derivatives. These are like the three places to sort of engage with Atom 2021, and then come over to Unify DAO and really express your excitement and enthusiasm, because a big part of kind of what we are looking for out of Atom 2021 is a feeling that Atom holders are behind us. Otherwise, it needs this sort of decentralized enthusiasm from the Atom holder community to really see Atom 2021. Us, Tarek and me and B Harvest have really taken this, have taken the lead and are the sharp edge of the spear. But if we don't have the Atom holders behind us, Atom 2021 is not going to be realized. And so that's the other place. Unify DAO is a really great place to come in, express your enthusiasm, express that this is where you want the Cosmos Hub to go, and really cheerlead us towards the finish line. We're sort of rounding the final edges of Stargate, and sort of getting ready for the Stargate upgrade to the hub. But Atom holders really should be looking beyond into Atom 2021.
I really like that phrase, like decentralized enthusiasm. That's a pretty cool phrase, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is there's a loneliness to what Tarek and I and B Harvest are doing. We are kind of standing out there. We don't have a big organization behind us. We don't have lots of people that we're pretty much figuring this out on our own as we move forward. And the Occlusion team and the Althea team and Bee Harvest team, and it's small, but like even that is collectively like 10 people at this point. And there's like something like 40,000 Atom holders out there. The point of holding Atoms is to participate in this community and participate in these decisions, and either to say that this is the direction that you want to go and support the people who are moving in this direction and help them get across the finish line, or advocate for a different direction.
Yeah. The Cosmos community is made up of a bunch of a number of not just Atom holders, but also a lot of other zones pursuing their own interest. I think those. So it's we've done some research where we looked at the Ethereum community as being mostly about developers and spending a lot of time with Solidity, whereas Cosmos is about a lot of developers working on their own implementation of the Cosmos SDK on top of Tendermint. I think folks should be super hyped, like Zaki said, for post Stargate and the coming of Peggy and the AMM, because I think once that comes on, or those proposals come to the hub, again, there will be unique opportunities to do things that you will not be able to do in other places, that I think folks will say, well, this is really something that is impressive, or this is a unique product market fit. So I would say folks should come, like Zaki said, come to the Unified DAO Telegram. If you're a developer and you're looking to build features in the Cosmos ecosystem, we're like looking for proposals, so welcoming those. Peggy was a proposal that was funded by Unified DAO. Bee Harvest's proposal was funded by AIB. There is support for folks who are like, hey, I like this narrative. I want to build on it. And I think if those folks are listening, I would encourage them to say, come to the Telegram, share thoughts and say, hey, listen, here's, how I think I could contribute. There's a lot of problems we're working on, which I think are on the bleeding edge of, store of value or decentralized store of value. So I think that's a great channel to just start discussions and feel free to do it. And I think Cosmos DeFi is taking shape. So I'm super hyped that it's happening and it's going to go live. So come for the Peggy, stay for the IBC, and enjoy the AMMs. It's here. It's good stuff.
Cool. Anything else that we want to add before we break?
No.
I think that's
the Unified DAO. Help us make help us figure out what staking derivatives should look like. Help us put together a governance proposal. Participate in Piggy Broken Net. Atom 2021 is happening. It's happening at the same time as Stargate is happening, and it's a lot.
Yeah. I would say also, if you're in Hackathon and you're working on a project, bring it to the Unified DAO. I am sure there are cool Hackathon projects that, even if you don't win and you're looking to get funded, bring it to Unified DAO. Might be opportunity there. So, love to see and hear more.
Cool. Well, I think that's time. So, yeah, thank you both for being here. It's been a really fun call. Trying to kind of discuss some of these ideas. Love to kind of talk more on the staking derivatives as well with Bee Harvest, because last time I think we focused primarily on the validator shares part, and I think Bee Harvest design is also something that's completely different. So maybe that'd be another call down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do
Thank
that.
you all for being here.
Well, like I said, I think with staking derivatives, if I was going to do just like kind of set up a future call, is really negotiate this design decision, which is should the hub issue something that is available over IBC that like we can explain. I'd be happy to go into this in the future. It's kind of like we've done a fairly detailed analysis of. In Bee Harvest, and I largely agree on what is likely to have product market fit. The question is, should that be issued by the hub, or should we issue something that you can build that out of on the hub? And then like, what are the trade-offs?
Yeah, exactly. Because I think I tend to be on the other side of that, right? So, yeah, I mean, I fundamentally agree on that we need staking derivatives. I think I just kind of have different ideas on how it should be implemented. But I think that's, it's just still a step in the right direction. That
Well,
we're
I mean,
talking about.
I don't know that any of us have the right answer. The only
Yeah,
thing that
I
can tell
agree.
us if we have the right answer is the market.
Yep.
The question is what can we do to enable the market to make that decision?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And get it shipped. Yeah, just out there. So
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
cool.
All right. Thanks,
Awesome.
Josh. Thanks, Aki.
Thank you both, and
Thanks.
thank you all
All
for
right.
Back to
watching.
Stargate.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Bye.